Before there was earth, before there were oceans, trees, or skies, there was nothing but darkness, an infinite stillness. And then there was light. 13.8 billion years ago, the universe was born. Not in silence, but in a flood of creation so profound that even now its echoes stretch across the heavens. We call it the Big Bang, but it was less an explosion and more a blooming, the rapid unfolding of space and time itself. Within the first moments, the universe was a sea of energy and chaos, a cosmic furnace where matter was forged from pure light. Tiny particles, protons, neutrons, electrons, danced in the newborn cosmos, colliding, combining, separating, like sparks in an infinite fire. As the universe expanded, it cooled, and in that cooling, order began to take shape. Hydrogen, helium, the simplest elements, the raw ingredients of everything that would ever exist. Billions of years passed. Gravity, that most patient sculptor, began its slow, delicate work. It drew clouds of hydrogen together, tighter and tighter, until their centers ignited with unimaginable heat. And just like that, the first stars were born. They were massive, brilliant, short-lived, cosmic giants that burned with fierce intensity. Inside their cores, new elements began to form: carbon, oxygen, iron, the building blocks of worlds and life. And when these first stars died, they did so in cataclysmic beauty. They exploded as supernovae, scattering their enriched matter into the cosmos, seeding the dark with stardust. That dust, those ashes of ancient stars, would drift for eons through the galactic night, waiting. Our story begins within one of these great cosmic nurseries, a spiral arm of a galaxy we call the Milky Way. Here, about 4.6 billion years ago, a vast cloud of gas and dust began to collapse under its own gravity. At its heart, a star began to form, our sun. It was young, volatile, blazing with energy. Around it swirled a vast disk of leftover matter, a whirlpool of rock, ice, and metal, tumbling and colliding in a gravitational ballet. From this spinning chaos, the planets were born. Tiny grains of dust collided and stuck together, forming pebbles. Pebbles gathered into boulders. Boulders into mountain-sized worlds called planetesimals. And over countless millions of years, these worlds merged, smashed, and reformed, sculpted by the unyielding hand of gravity. Within this cosmic forge, one of those newborn worlds began to grow. A rough, molten sphere circling a star that was still finding its balance. It was not yet Earth as we know it, but the embryo of a world that would one day cradle life. The young solar system was violent beyond imagination. Planets collided like celestial titans. Asteroids rained down in a storm of creation and destruction. And among these collisions was one that changed everything. A Mars-sized body, we call it Theia, struck the young Earth in a cataclysm so immense that both worlds melted and merged. From the debris flung into orbit, a new companion took shape: the Moon. The Earth and Moon have been partners ever since, bound in a dance across billions of years. The Moon's gravity steadied Earth's rotation, slowed its spin, and gave birth to the rhythm of tides. Without it, our world might have remained a chaotic, spinning ember. But with it, the conditions for calm, for balance, for life, slowly began to emerge. In those first 100 million years, Earth was still a hellish world. A glowing sea of magma stretched across its surface. The sky boiled with steam, carbon dioxide, and sulfur. Asteroids continued to strike, igniting the horizon in waves of fire. We call this time the Hadean Eon, the Age of Fire. And yet, even amid such fury, the foundations of everything we know were being laid. Deep beneath the molten crust, heavy elements sank to form a metallic core. The lighter silicates floated upward, hardening into the first crustal rocks. The planet began to differentiate, to find its structure, its identity. And slowly, the bombardment waned. The surface cooled. The fiery world began to breathe. Water, perhaps carried by icy comets or released from minerals deep within the earth, began to fall. For the first time, rain touched rock. It fell for centuries, then millennia. A deluge so vast that it filled the great basins of the planet. The oceans were born. The Earth's surface transformed from a blazing inferno into a shimmering blue world. Volcanic islands rose and fell. Lightning split the skies. And beneath those stormy oceans, something remarkable began to stir. In the darkness of the deep, near volcanic vents rich in minerals and heat, simple chemistry gave rise to something new. The first stirrings of life. Molecules assembled, broke apart, and reassembled again. Chains of carbon began to copy themselves, and from these fragile beginnings, the spark of biology flickered to life. These first living forms were simple, microscopic, single-celled, vulnerable, yet they possessed something astonishing: the ability to change, to adapt, to evolve. In those ancient seas, life began its slow, relentless climb toward complexity, each generation refining, experimenting, surviving, and in time, life learned a new trick: photosynthesis. Tiny cyanobacteria discovered how to use sunlight to split water and release oxygen. That simple act would one day transform the world. But for now, Earth was still a quiet experiment, a lonely blue marble adrift in a vast, dark sea of stars. Meanwhile, the sun continued to shine, stable and life-giving. Its light, filtered through a hazy atmosphere, bathed the young oceans in warmth. Tides ebbed and flowed, sculpting coastlines and stirring the chemical soup where life brewed. Other planets orbited beside us. Venus, shrouded in cloud. Mars, red and dry. Jupiter and Saturn, their gravity shaping the orbits of countless asteroids. Each was beautiful in its own way, but none were quite like Earth. Earth was balanced, not too hot, not too cold. It was just right. A delicate harmony between distance, chemistry, and chance. In that balance, nature found a home. So here we stand, billions of years later, gazing back through time. Every atom in our bodies was once forged in the heart of a star. The iron in our blood, the calcium in our bones, the oxygen we breathe, all born in the crucibles of ancient suns. We are, quite literally, the universe made conscious. When we look at the night sky, we are not merely observing distant stars, we are witnessing our own origins, written in light. The story of Earth began long before the planet itself, in the fires of creation, the dust of dead stars, and the quiet persistence of gravity. It is a story of transformation, from chaos to order, From energy to matter, from nothingness to the possibility of life. And it reminds us of something profound, that the universe, vast and ancient as it is capable of self-reflection through us. Because when we speak of the cosmos, we are, in truth, telling the story of ourselves. When the violence of the early solar system began to calm, the young Earth emerged, battered, scarred, but alive in its own way. Its surface still glowed with molten rivers, its sky thick with smoke and volcanic fumes. This was a world in constant turmoil, a landscape forged by fire and shaped by endless bombardment. Yet beneath that fury, something extraordinary was happening. The planet was cooling. Slowly, imperceptibly, the heat of its birth began to fade, and solid ground, the first crust, began to form. The air was dense and choking, rich with carbon dioxide, ammonia, and methane. Lightning flashed across skies the color of rust. The world was restless, yet full of potential. This was the Hadean Earth, a world of fire and stone, but within its chaos lay the seeds of transformation. Over millions of years, volcanic outgassing filled the atmosphere with vapor. Clouds began to gather, thick and heavy, until one day they could hold their burden no longer. And for the first time in the planet's history, it rained. It did not rain for hours or days or even years. It rained for centuries. The deluge was relentless. Raindrops sizzled as they struck the still warm rock, evaporating into steam, only to fall again. The world echoed with the sound of creation, the meeting of fire and water. Slowly, the surface cooled further. Steam gave way to mist, mist to clouds, and clouds to open skies. Valleys filled, basins deepened, and over countless millennia, the first oceans gathered, vast, dark, and endless. Earth had found its balance. The age of fire was ending. The age of water had begun. If we could look upon that newborn world, we might not recognize it. The continents we know had not yet formed. Only scattered volcanic islands dotted the horizon, drifting upon a global sea. The water was thick with minerals, its color a deep green-blue, and the air above was heavy with carbon and methane. The sun shone dimmer then, about a third less bright than it does today. By all logic, the planet should have frozen, but it did not. The thick atmosphere, rich in greenhouse gases, trapped enough warmth to keep the oceans liquid. It was a delicate equilibrium, fragile yet enduring. And it was within these oceans that the next great chapter of our story began. The chemistry of life itself was stirring. At the edges of deep-sea vents, where molten rock met cold ocean water, heat and minerals mixed to create a perfect crucible. Here, simple molecules, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, ammonia, began to assemble into more complex structures. The first organic molecules, amino acids, lipids, and sugars, formed spontaneously in these mineral-rich waters. For millions of years, the planet was a laboratory. Molecules collided, linked, and broke apart again in an endless dance of chance and physics. Most combinations vanished into nothing, but a few persisted. A few found stability. A few began to copy themselves. Somewhere, in one of those countless experiments, a spark crossed the boundary between chemistry and biology. Life, the first, simplest life, had begun. It may have taken millions of years more for these self-replicating molecules to evolve into something we might call a cell. But eventually, enclosed within delicate membranes, these ancient organisms learned to protect themselves, to feed, and to multiply. These were the prokaryotes, the ancestors of all living things. They were small, single-celled, and invisible. Yet, their influence would soon reshape the entire planet. Floating in the oceans, they absorbed the chemicals around them, converting energy from their environment into the building blocks of life. Some found sustenance in the deep darkness, drawing power from the heat of the earth itself. Others evolved a more miraculous ability. They learned to harness light. These primitive cells developed pigments that captured sunlight, using its energy to split water and release oxygen as waste. This innovation, photosynthesis, would change the world forever. But in these early days, oxygen was a poison. The atmosphere was reducing, not oxidizing. And for life that had evolved in that ancient chemistry, oxygen was deadly. When the first photosynthetic organisms began to release it into the seas, it reacted violently with iron dissolved in the water, forming rust that sank to the seafloor. Over time, these layers of iron built up, forming the banded iron formations we can still find in rocks today, the fingerprints of the planet's first breath. Slowly, oxygen began to accumulate. At first, only in the oceans, then in the skies above. The transformation was immense. A once hostile world was being remade by the smallest of creatures. The air was clearing, the skies were turning blue, and the foundation for all complex life was being laid, molecule by molecule, breath by breath. As life spread across the seas, Earth's surface continued to evolve. Deep currents churned beneath the crust. Continents began to form, rising from the ocean floor like colossal rafts of stone. These proto-continents collided, merged, and broke apart, reshaping the face of the planet again and again. The young sun grew brighter, and volcanic gases continued to feed the atmosphere, maintaining the delicate balance between warmth and cooling. For the first time, the cycle of the planet, the interaction of rock, water, air, and life, had begun to stabilize. It was a feedback system, self-regulating, self-sustaining. The Earth had become a living world. It is remarkable to think that all of this, the oceans, the air, the clouds, and the spark of biology, emerged not through design, but through natural consequence. The laws of physics, chemistry, and chance were enough. Given energy, matter, and time, the universe will find ways to build complexity. From the fire of stars to the chemistry of oceans, from the collisions of planets to the breath of microbes, the story unfolds with a kind of quiet inevitability. And yet, within that inevitability lies wonder, because even in the most chaotic beginnings, the universe seems to have an instinct for beauty. In the deep time of the Archean Eon, nearly 4 billion years ago, life was already thriving in the oceans. The continents were small, the atmosphere dense, and the tides enormous, pulled by a moon far closer than it is today. The sky may have glowed with an orange haze, filtering the young sun's light into soft amber tones. The seas shimmered with microbial life, forming vast mats and colonies that clung to rocks and shallows. Over millions of years, these colonies built structures we still find today, stromatolites, living fossils that whisper of the earliest ecosystems. They are among the oldest records of life on Earth, layered cities of microbes, frozen in stone. From such humble beginnings, the stage was being set for all that would follow, for the oxygen-rich skies, the blue oceans, and the creatures that would one day crawl, swim, and fly. The Earth, once a world of fire, had cooled into a world of water, and water, in its gentle persistence, had become the cradle of life. When we look at our planet now, the clouds drifting over oceans, the rivers cutting through continents, the rain nourishing forests, it's hard to imagine that it all began with a storm that lasted 1,000,000 years. The story of Earth is the story of transformation, of violence giving way to calm, of simplicity giving birth to complexity. The same forces that once tore planets apart would later sculpt coastlines, nourish oceans, and shape the delicate balance of air and sea that makes life possible. From chaos, order. From fire, water. From dust, life. And through it all, a single thread connects every atom, every wave, every breath, the unbroken continuity of the cosmos. We are made of that same stardust, forged in the same crucibles, shaped by the same physics. The oceans that now cradle life were born from the same forces that once set the heavens ablaze. In the quiet rhythm of the tides, in the shimmer of sunlight upon the waves, we can still hear an echo of that ancient transition, the moment when a world of fire became a world of blue. And as we gaze upon the Earth today, suspended in the vast darkness of space, we are reminded of how improbable, how fragile, and how precious that transformation truly was. For more than 1 billion years, life had existed in the oceans, invisible, microscopic, and humble. Tiny cells floated through the warm, mineral-rich waters, drifting beneath skies heavy with methane and carbon dioxide. The world was alive, yet silent. There were no forests, no fish, no movement beyond the slow pulse of tides. But beneath that tranquil surface, something profound was underway. A transformation so deep, it would forever alter the planet and every life that followed. It began with oxygen. The tiny cyanobacteria that had learned to capture sunlight were unknowingly reshaping their world. As they released oxygen into the seas, they were rewriting the planet's chemistry. What had once been a reducing atmosphere, rich in methane and ammonia, was slowly turning into one rich in this new reactive gas. At first, oxygen was rare. It reacted with everything it touched, with iron in the oceans, with sulfur in the rocks, with methane in the air. But over millions of years, the reaction slowed, the sinks filled, and oxygen began to accumulate. And when it did, the consequences were world-changing. The methane that once warmed the young Earth was destroyed, and the planet cooled. The skies cleared, the haze vanished, and sunlight reached the surface in full brilliance for the first time. But the cost was high. For much of the microbial life that had evolved in oxygen-free conditions, this new atmosphere was poison. Countless species perished. It was one of the first great mass extinctions, not caused by impact or fire, but by the breath of life itself. Yet from that destruction came creation. For the first time, the atmosphere glowed blue, the oceans sparkled beneath clear skies, and the stage was set for life to evolve into something new. We call this the Great Oxygenation Event, a moment nearly 2.4 billion years ago, when Earth truly began to change. The air grew breathable. The planet cooled into one of its first great ice ages, a world encased in frozen oceans and white horizons. For millions of years, Earth became a planet of snow and silence. But even in that frozen stillness, life endured. Beneath the ice, in the deeper black of the oceans, microbes found refuge near volcanic vents, feeding on heat and minerals. Evolution, though slowed, never stopped. And when the ice finally retreated, life re-emerged with new tools, new structures, and new possibilities. Oxygen did more than transform the atmosphere. It transformed biology itself. In the absence of oxygen, life is limited. Energy is scarce, metabolism slow. But oxygen, volatile and powerful, offered a new source of energy, vastly greater than anything before. Cells that could tolerate and harness it gained an immense advantage. They grew more complex, more efficient, more alive. Some of these ancient microbes began to merge. One cell swallowed another, not as prey, but as partner. The engulfed cell survived inside its host and learned to provide energy in return. It was a moment of extraordinary cooperation, the birth of a new kind of life. These symbiotic unions gave rise to eukaryotes, cells with nuclei, with internal structures, with the capacity for complexity. Every plant, every animal, every human would one day trace its lineage back to this singular innovation, the partnership of cells. For another billion years, evolution worked quietly, almost invisibly. In the depths of the Proterozoic oceans, eukaryotic cells multiplied, forming colonies and networks. Some began to specialize, one cell for movement, another for feeding, another for protection. This division of labor gave rise to the first multicellular life, simple at first, but profoundly different from what came before. The oceans began to fill with soft-bodied organisms, drifting like ghosts through the water. The air above grew richer in oxygen, feeding both metabolism and atmosphere. The world was awakening, cell by cell, into a new age of diversity. But Earth would test life again. Roughly 700 million years ago, the planet plunged into one of its most extreme transformations, an era we call Snowball Earth. Glaciers spread from the poles to the equator. The oceans froze nearly solid, locking away sunlight beneath sheets of ice. For tens of millions of years, the world became an alien sphere of white. And yet, beneath that frozen surface, life held on. In cracks of ice, around hydrothermal vents, in the shadows of volcanic islands, tiny communities of microbes endured. They adapted to darkness, to scarcity, to the edge of extinction. When the ice finally melted, the survivors emerged into a world cleansed and transformed. The atmosphere was oxygen-rich. The oceans, infused with nutrients from the melting glaciers, became fertile once more. And what followed was one of the most remarkable periods in the history of life. A burst of creativity unparalleled before or since. Around 540 million years ago, in what we now call the Cambrian period, life exploded into diversity. In just a few tens of millions of years, a blink in geological time, the oceans teemed with creatures of astonishing variety. Organisms grew shells and spines for defense. Eyes evolved to see light and motion. Limbs emerged to crawl and swim. Predators and prey appeared for the first time, driving an evolutionary arms race that shaped every form of life that followed. This event, the Cambrian explosion, marks the dawn of complex ecosystems, coral reefs, food chains, and the balance of life and death. It was the beginning of the world we recognize, the world of animals, of behavior, of interaction. The oxygen that once threatened life had now become its greatest ally. It fueled the metabolism of movement, the growth of tissue, the spark of thought. Without it, no creature could have swum, or walked, or dreamed. The chemistry of the atmosphere and the biology of the oceans had become one, a single, unified system. The Earth itself was alive in the deepest sense. Its air, its water, its life intertwined. And as the continents drifted, mountains rose and seas opened and closed, the great symphony of evolution continued. When we gaze at the fossil record today, the ripples of ancient seabeds turn to stone, the imprints of trilobites, the faint outline of a fin or eye socket. We are looking at the echoes of that explosion of life. Each fossil is a page from a story written in rock, a record of adaptation, extinction, and renewal. From the simplest cells to the earliest fish, from the first eyes that saw the sunrise to the first fins that felt the current, the story of oxygen is the story of awakening. It is the moment when the universe, through the laws of chemistry and chance, learned to see itself. The oceans that once sheltered microbes now shimmered with color and motion. Strange creatures drifted like ribbons through the water. Others crawled along the seabed, leaving trails that marked their passage through time. For the first time, the Earth had a biosphere that could be seen, a world of texture and light, of energy and purpose. And though we are separated from those ancient seas by 500 million years, their legacy lives within us. Every breath we take, every heartbeat, every flicker of thought, all depend upon the same element that once transformed a silent ocean into a living planet. Oxygen is more than a gas. It is the bridge between matter and motion, between chemistry and consciousness. And from the moment it filled the air, the stage was set for life's next great adventure, the conquest of the land. There are moments in the history of our planet when life, emboldened by oxygen and sunlight, reaches for the grandest scales imaginable. Moments when the Earth seems to breathe deeper and dream larger. This is one of those moments, the Age of Giants. The world, now over 400 million years old, has transformed beyond recognition. The continents are alive, green, lush, teeming with forests that stretch into the horizon, ferns the size of houses, dragonflies with wings as wide as a hawk's, and trees that pierce the clouds. The Carboniferous period, a time when oxygen levels soared to 35%, higher than at any other point in Earth's history. Every breath of air was dense, nourishing, electric with possibility. And life responded. Insects grew vast and strange, millipedes longer than a car, scorpions the size of wolves. The planet was a symphony of growth and decay. The forest floor a labyrinth of roots and fungi. Beneath the dense canopy, time moved slowly. Each fallen leaf destined to become part of the dark, hidden layers that would one day ignite as coal. The breath of the forest becoming the energy of the future. But evolution never rests. The oceans, once the cradle of life, were no longer enough. For millions of years, creatures had flirted with the shoreline, inching closer to land. And now, the first true pioneers made the leap. They crawled from the shallows, primitive amphibians, gasping under the heavy air, eyes blinking in the sunlight for the first time, their skin still wet, their movements clumsy. But this was courage, written not in thought, but in instinct. Life had conquered the land. From these small beginnings, reptiles would rise, scaly architects of a new empire. They would grow larger, more efficient, more daring. And the forest that once sheltered insects would now echo with the footsteps of creatures destined for greatness. The continents drifted and collided, assembling into a vast supercontinent, Pangaea. The world became one, a single massive landmass surrounded by endless ocean. This new geography brought with it new challenges. Deserts stretched for thousands of miles, and the climate grew harsher. The age of lush forests gave way to something more austere. But as always, Earth adapted, and so did life. In the warm, arid expanses of Pangaea, reptiles flourished. They evolved scales to hold in water, strong limbs to carry them far from the sea, and among them, a lineage of creatures that would one day dominate the Earth for over 150 million years. The dinosaurs. At first, they were small, quick, agile, the survivors of extinction and drought. But soon they became titans. Some grew taller than trees, heavier than houses. The earth trembled under their footsteps. Under alien skies and strange constellations, the world belonged to them. A lush, tropical paradise ruled by giants, a stage set for grandeur and fury. Rivers wound through fern-covered valleys. Volcanoes lit the horizon. Thunder rolled across humid plains. And in the midst of it all, creatures of impossible beauty and scale. The long-necked sauropods, grazing among the canopy. The sharp-eyed raptors, clever and swift. And the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex, the embodiment of raw, ancient power. For tens of millions of years they thrived, adapting to every shift in land and climate. They hunted, nested, cared for their young. They were not mindless monsters, but survivors, products of evolution's relentless creativity. Yet the dinosaurs were not alone. While they ruled the land, other worlds stirred with life. In the seas, enormous marine reptiles swam with grace and terror. Ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, mosasaurs. Above the forests, the skies filled with wings for the first time. The pterosaurs soared, their hollow bones and membranous wings slicing through the ancient air. The age of giants was not just an age of size, it was an age of experimentation. Every corner of the planet was alive with innovation. Life was sculpting, testing, and refining itself, driven by the quiet force of natural selection. Every creature, from the smallest shrew to the largest titan, was a note in a grand evolutionary symphony. But even the greatest symphonies come to an end, and the Earth, as always, had its own plans. 66 million years ago, a speck of rock, just a few kilometers wide, hurtled toward the planet at unimaginable speed. For life on Earth, it was an ordinary day. The skies were clear, the seas calm, and then the heavens fell. The asteroid struck near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. In seconds, the world changed. A blinding flash, brighter than 1,000 suns, vaporized everything for miles. Shockwaves raced across the planet, igniting forests, boiling oceans. A cloud of dust and ash enveloped the Earth, turning day to night. The temperature plummeted. The sunlight, the very breath of life, was gone. For months, perhaps years, the world was silent. 90% of species vanished. The dinosaurs, the mighty rulers of Earth, were gone. The giants fell. But life, ever resilient, endured. In the ashes of that devastation, small, fragile creatures began to stir. Mammals. They had always been there, hiding in the shadows of giants. Small, warm-blooded, clever. And now, in a world emptied of predators, they began to rise. They would inherit the earth. The Age of Giants teaches us something profound, that even the most powerful empires of nature are temporary, that life's greatest strength is not size or might, but adaptability. For the history of this planet is not a tale of dominance, but of survival. From the forests of the Carboniferous to the deserts of Pangaea, from the thunder of dinosaurs to the silence of their fall, the Earth has reinvented itself time and again. Each era builds upon the last, each extinction a door to new creation. And in that endless cycle of birth and loss, we find the beating heart of our world, a planet that endures, not despite catastrophe, but because of it. As the dust settles and dawn returns, the first mammals begin to explore a changed Earth. Tiny paws press into the ash of what once was. The skies clear, the forests regrow, and somewhere in the branches, a new kind of creature opens its eyes to the light. The stage is set for another transformation, quieter, subtler, yet far more profound. Because from these small beginnings, consciousness will one day awaken, and the Earth will see itself at last through human eyes. The great age of giants had passed. The thunder of their footsteps faded into memory, and in the stillness that followed, amidst the ash, the silence, the gentle hum of rebirth, life began again. From the shadows, small creatures stirred. Fur where there had once been scales, warmth where there had once been cold blood. The mammals, humble survivors of a fallen world, now stepped into the light. Their time had come. For millions of years, the earth healed. The forests returned, rich and green. The continents drifted, reshaping the face of the planet once more. And through all this, mammals diversified into predators and grazers, climbers and swimmers, hunters and dreamers. And among them, in the ancient forests of Africa, a new kind of creature appeared. Not the largest nor the fiercest, but something different, something extraordinary. They walked on two legs. Their hands, freed from the ground, reached out to grasp, to build, to touch the world. Their eyes looked not only outward, but inward. For the first time, the universe began to wonder about itself. They were our ancestors, early humans, fragile, curious, restless. They were sculpted by fire and hunger, by danger and discovery. They learned to make tools, to wield stones and sticks as extensions of their will. They learned to hunt, to cook, to share warmth around the glow of a fire. And with each generation, something invisible yet powerful grew within them: the mind. Firelight flickered across their faces as they gazed at the night sky. Perhaps even then they wondered, what are those lights above us? Are they eyes watching? Are they fires like ours? It was here, in the heart of Africa, that curiosity was born. Time moved on. The ice came, and with it, hardship. Vast glaciers carved the earth, freezing oceans and shaping valleys. But humanity adapted. Through cooperation, through intelligence, through imagination, they endured. They spread outward, across continents. Each step a new frontier. Through deserts and forests, across mountains and frozen seas, they wandered. They painted the walls of caves with animals that ran across their dreams. They carved idols, made music, told stories by starlight. And somewhere in those whispers and songs, the human spirit was born. The dawn of civilization came not as an explosion, but as a quiet, unfolding. The first seeds were sown, and the first villages grew from the soil. Humanity learned to shape the land, to bend rivers, to plant, to harvest. They built homes from clay and cities from stone. And with those cities came something remarkable: memory. For the first time, the story of life was recorded, on cave walls, in symbols, in language. The planet that had spent billions of years creating life had now created history. The Earth watched as humans began to transform it. They built monuments that defied time, pyramids that reached for the heavens, temples carved into mountains, statues that stared into eternity. Each stone, each carving, a declaration. We were here. They mapped the stars, named the constellations, charted the cycles of the moon. For every civilization that rose, Egypt, Sumer, the Indus, the Maya, the same truth echoed. We are children of the earth, yet our dreams belong to the sky. Empires rose and fell, but the pursuit of understanding never ceased. The Greeks asked what the universe was made of. The Persians built gardens that mirrored paradise. The Chinese measured time with precision that outlived dynasties. In every corner of the world, humanity reached out to understand, to connect, to imagine. And somewhere along the way, we began to see patterns, the hidden language of nature itself. We discovered laws that govern the stars and the seas. We learned that the same atoms in our bodies were forged in ancient suns. And with that revelation came a sense of awe, that we are not apart from the cosmos, but of it. Then came the modern age, rapid, fiery, unstoppable. Steam and steel, light and electricity. We split the atom and touched the moon. We sent our machines to the edges of the solar system and our signals into the stars. In just a few thousand years, a blink in geological time, the Earth had given rise to a species capable of reshaping worlds. We became the storytellers of the universe. We built telescopes that could see to the edge of time, and microscopes that could peer into the fabric of life. And in doing so, we discovered the miracle of our own existence. That every breath, every heartbeat, every thought is an echo of the cosmos itself. But this power comes with a shadow. In our brilliance, we have also learned to alter the earth. The same fires that once warmed our ancestors now warm the planet itself. The same tools that built our cities now threaten the balance of the world that gave us life. We have become, in a sense, the Earth's consciousness and its greatest challenge. Will we destroy what made us? Or will we learn to live in harmony with the only home we've ever known? These are the questions of our age. Questions not of science alone, but of meaning. For if the story of Earth has taught us anything, it is that survival is not enough. To truly live is to understand. Look around. Every mountain, every tree, every wave of the sea, all of it forged by time and chance. And now, through us, the universe is aware of itself. We are stardust, made conscious. Atoms that once burned in the hearts of ancient suns, now looking back upon the cosmos in wonder. When we gaze at the night sky, we are not small, we are vast, because we are part of everything. The light that travels for billions of years to reach our eyes is a reminder of where we came from, and perhaps of where we are going. One day, our species may vanish, as all species must. The Earth will move on. It always has. Mountains will rise and fall, oceans will shift, continents will drift, and yet, something of us will remain. the echoes of our voices, the traces of our thought, the memory of consciousness itself. In the far future, when the sun swells and the seas boil away, when the last traces of life fade into dust, the universe will still carry the story of this small, blue world. A world that, for a brief shining moment, knew itself. So this, perhaps, is the legacy of Earth, that from chaos came order, from stone came life, from life came mind, and from mind came wonder. The journey from star to cell, from dust to dream, is the most beautiful story ever told, and it is still being written, in every discovery, in every sunrise, in every thought that reaches beyond the sky. The Earth is not just our home, it is our origin, our teacher, our mirror, a world that has seen fire and ice, darkness and dawn, and through it all, found a way to live, again and again. And we, the children of this ancient planet, carry its legacy in our blood and our breath. The story of Earth is the story of us, and perhaps, when the last light fades and the stars go dark, that story, whispered into the void, will still echo. Because once, in the vast silence of the cosmos, a planet opened its eyes and saw itself. There's a moment when you step back and look at the Earth, not from a hilltop, not from an airplane, but from the darkness of space. And you see it, not as continents or borders, not as nations or names, but as a single, shimmering world. A pale blue dot suspended in a sunbeam. It's there, floating in the void. Every mountain, every ocean, every living thing that has ever existed, all contained within that fragile sphere of light. From that distance, all the triumphs and tragedies of human history, all the kings and poets, all the wars and dreams shrink to the smallest whisper. And yet, that whisper is everything, because within that speck of dust, the universe has become aware of itself. 13.8 billion years ago, the universe was born. From silence, from energy, from pure possibility. Stars formed, lived and died. Galaxies collided, worlds ignited, and in one quiet corner of space, a planet gathered just the right mix of chaos and order. Stone became sea. Sea became cell. Cell became consciousness. And across billions of years, that consciousness learned to look back at the stars and wonder, where did we come from? Why are we here? That question, that capacity for awe, is the signature of our species. It is what makes us human. We are not apart from the cosmos. We are its children, forged in the hearts of ancient stars, shaped by time and gravity and chance. Every atom in our bodies was once part of something vast and luminous, a sun that lived, burned, and died so that we might one day exist. And when we gaze into the night sky, we are not looking out, we are looking back through time, through the generations of stars that made us. We are, quite literally, the universe dreaming of itself. The story of Earth is not just a story of rocks and oceans, of evolution and extinction. It's a story of transformation, of how chaos gave birth to meaning, of how life, fragile and improbable, rose from darkness to light. And now, for the first time, that life can choose its own future. We stand at a turning point, where knowledge gives us power not just to explore, but to protect, to care for the world that made us, to remember that this planet, this small blue oasis in an endless black sea, is the only home we've ever known. Someday, the earth will fall silent again. The mountains will crumble, the seas will dry, and the sun will fade into its final fire. But even then, our story will have been worth it, Because for a fleeting moment in eternity, the cosmos opened its eyes and saw beauty. It saw the shimmer of oceans under sunlight, the curve of clouds over continents, the spark of thought in a human mind. It saw us, and perhaps somewhere out among the stars, that spark will rise again. Another world, another sky, another species looking up in wonder, because this is what the universe does. It creates, it destroys, it remembers, it dreams, and on one small, fragile world, for a heartbeat of cosmic time, it dreamed of us. So when you look up at the night sky, and you see that faint band of light we call the Milky Way, remember this: every atom of your being was once part of that light, and every thought, every act of kindness, every moment of love and curiosity is the universe remembering itself. We are the cosmos, made conscious, the earth, made aware, and our story is just beginning.